In a quiet, weathered town on the edge of nowhere, nestled between a forgotten railway and a dried-up riverbed, stood a modest nursing home named Willow Springs Care Center. The building was grey, cracked, and cloaked in the scent of bleach and fading memories. Inside, residents drifted like leaves in slow-moving wind, some laughing, others simply waiting. Among them was Arthur Hensley, once a vibrant clockmaker, now a blind elderly man with a sharp tongue and a sharper mind. Arthur had been at Willow Springs for 5 years. He had no family, no visitors. He sat every morning by the same window, though he couldn't see the sky beyond it. He just listened to footsteps, to voices, to time slipping by. The staff called him the Watchman because he always seemed to know things before they happened. But today felt different. That day, a new arrival entered the home, Elijah, a 17-year-old community service worker. Thin, guarded, and always looking at the floor. He had been caught stealing a bike and was sent here to learn some respect for the elderly. He didn't want to be there, and Arthur could tell. When Elijah entered the common room for the first time, Arthur didn't look at him. He turned his head and said, "You walk like someone who's been chased his whole life." Elijah blinked. "You blind or psychic?" Arthur smiled. "I'm blind, but I hear more than most people see." Reluctantly, Elijah sat across from him, arms crossed. Arthur, sipping lukewarm tea, asked, "What did you take that wasn't yours?" Elijah frowned. "Why do you care?" Arthur leaned forward. "Because sometimes the only way to get back time is to borrow it." The next few days, Elijah was tasked with reading to Arthur. But Arthur refused books. Instead, he wanted to talk. Every day, Elijah sat by him, annoyed at first. But Arthur asked questions no one had ever asked him. About his mother, about the bruises on his arms, about the way he flinched when someone spoke too loudly. And slowly, Elijah opened up. He shared stories he had never told, about how his mom worked nights and his stepfather drank until the walls shook, about the anger inside him, boiling, growing, uncontrollable. Arthur listened, never interrupting, never judging, only offering questions that cut deeper than any lecture could. "You think being angry gives you power," Arthur said once. "But it's the calm men you need to fear. They've survived the storm already." Elijah was silent. One morning, Elijah noticed something unusual. On Arthur's bedside table sat an old, broken pocket watch, its hands frozen at 2:14. Elijah picked it up. "Why do you keep this if it's broken?" Arthur touched the watch with reverence. "That was the last clock I ever made. For my wife. She died at 2:14 and it's been stuck ever since." Elijah looked at him, unsure what to say. "I keep it," Arthur continued, "because broken things still have meaning, even if they can't be fixed." That night, Elijah took the watch home. He stayed up late, watching tutorials trying to repair it. He wanted to do something right for once. And after hours of fumbling, the second hand ticked. He returned it to Arthur the next day. "Borrowed time," he said, placing it in his palm. Arthur held the watch close to his chest, tears escaping the corners of his lifeless eyes. "You fixed more than the watch, son." As the weeks passed, Elijah stopped seeing his time at Willow Springs as punishment. He started showing up early, staying late. He learned the names of the residents, their stories, their quirks. But his bond with Arthur was something else entirely. One afternoon, Elijah said, "You ever wish you could go back?" Arthur replied, "No, but I wish I'd listened more when I could see. Now all I do is listen." Elijah nodded. "People don't listen to me." Arthur smiled. "They will, once you learn to listen to yourself." One grey morning, Elijah arrived and Arthur wasn't by the window. His room was empty. Bed made, chair tucked in. A nurse approached quietly. "He passed in his sleep last night." The words hit Elijah like a wave. He had lost more than a mentor. He had lost the first person who ever really saw him. Later that day, the nurse handed Elijah a small box. Inside was the pocket watch ticking steadily at the right time. And a note: "For Elijah, time can't be stolen, only borrowed. Use yours wisely. Arthur." Elijah stood in front of his school principal weeks later. His community service was done. But he asked to stay on at Willow Springs even after the hours no longer counted. He started helping the other residents, reading, fixing things, listening. He got his grades up, applied for college, took up an apprenticeship in clockmaking. When someone asked what changed him, he simply said, "A blind man taught me how to see." Years passed. Elijah returned to Willow Springs, not as a volunteer, but as the new activities coordinator. He was older now, more grounded, with a calmness in his voice that mirrored Arthur's. In his office, on the shelf, sat a photo of Arthur Hensley beside that old pocket watch. Still ticking, still stubborn. Sometimes he'd touch the watch and whisper, "Still on borrowed time, old man." And in those quiet moments, surrounded by laughter, by memories, by life, time never felt wasted. It felt earned. Time can't be bought, stolen, or hoarded. It can only be borrowed. The people we meet in the margins of our lives may become the authors of our greatest change. Even broken things, watches, people, hearts, can be made whole with care. And sometimes it takes the eyes of the blind to teach us how to truly see. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a reminder that change is possible. Subscribe for more powerful stories every week. Hit the bell to never miss a moment. Drop a comment. Who was your Arthur in life? Let's honor the borrowed time we're given together.